Good morning, all of you. So, friends, today we will talk about World War One. How it taken place, what was the reason, what was the duration, what was the cause, and etc. So, now in this video, we will talk about World War One full history. So, let's start our today's video. So, first, World War First means First World War. Was duration? It was started on 28 July 1914 and it was ended on 11 November 1918. Total duration was of its 4 years. This World War I took the 4 years continuously. This World War was for 4 years. Causes of World War I. What was the causes for First World War? So the main causes is reminded as main, M-A-I-N. M means militarism. Building up strong armies and weapons in this was the main reason of cause of World War. Alliances. Countries formed powerful groups. This was also a great reason for the World War cause. Imperialism. Competition for colonies. There was competitions for the colony and there were fighting. Nationalism. Extreme love for their country, for one's country. The peoples who loved for their countries fight from those places. So this was about the nationalism. So major alliances were aligned powers. Britain, France, Russia, Italy. Italy joined later on at the last moment around, and United States joined in 1917. United States joined the World War First in the 1917 and Italy also joined later on after starting the World War. What were the central powers? The central powers were Germany, Austria-Hungary, Ottoman Empire and Bulgaria. These were the central powers. What were the important events that took place in World War First? So the history begins with 1940. War begins after Austria-Hungary attacks Serbia. And in 1970, United States entered the war. United States now came and became the allied power in the World War First. Now the United States was also in the war and also joined the war. In 1918, German surrender. Germans surrendered themselves. And in 11 November 1980, armistice signed. End of fighting. Now we will talk about what were the weapons used in World War First. The weapons were machine guns, poisonous gas, tanks, submarine, U-boats and fighter planes. These were used, and with this also many powerful weapons like gun shoot and these were also used. How this ended? How the war ended? Germany was defeated at the last and Treaty of Versailles in 1990 was signed. Means the treaty was signed, Treaty of Versailles. In which year? 1990. Germany lost territory and had to pay very heavy pay and war compensation. Now Germany lost their territory. Germany surrendered them and they paid a very heavy pay and a war compensation. What were the effects of World War I? So there were many effects. Around 16 million people died. Many European countries were destroyed and there was many end of empires like German, Ottoman, Austro-Hungarian. These empires were ended and there were no empires at that time and they were in the control of USA, Russia and the other allied powers. Now, formation of League of Nations was also took place. This was the effect of World War, that formation of League of Nations took place. Set the stage stage for World War II. They also prepared for the next World War, and to be said that they will not be in the control of the other countries and the states. Now, there are some important facts also called this World War First. It's also known as the Great War. First modern large-scale global war, it was known as. Trench warfare was common in this World War. Now, World War. Countries were involved. More than 30 countries participated making in the global war. They wanted to try that they want to control and expand their territory and the money expenditure and etc. from they took money. They wanted more money, more territory, more respect, and at that time it was the monarchy period. Only 3 countries of Europe were democratic. No one was democratic. They were all under the monarchy. And this World War in 30 countries, more than 30 countries take place, and this wanted that they want to increase their territory and more expand to their territory and wanted the respect. Fighting took place in Europe, Asia, Africa and the oceans also. Colonies of European power were also involved. Many of the colonies of the European powers involved in this war. There were major fronts of the war. First front is Western Front. It was fought mainly in France and Belgium, famous for trench warfare. It was very famous at that time for the trench warfare. It was long, deadly and slow-moving wing areas of the Western fronts. So, the areas were France and Belgium. Next was Eastern Front between Germany, Austria-Hungary versus Russia. More movement compared to the Western fronts. More movements. Russia later withdrew in 1970. Russia withdrew in 1970. There were many other fronts also, like Italian front, Balkan front, Middle East front, African colonies. In these also fronts like the Germany, Austria-Hungary, Russia, USA, more countries like these also took place in Italian front, Balkan front, Middle East front and African colonies. This war was to be very long time and a very long and very suspicious war it was. Now, trench warfare. Soldiers lived in a long dug out trenches. All the soldiers of the country and the different countries lived in what? Long dug out trenches. Conditions were dirty, wet and dangerous. These places were very dirty and very smelly. It was very wet and not soaked places and not suitable for the living, and it was also dangerous for them. Diseases like trench foot and infections were common. They can cause many of the diseases like trench foot and the infections to their bodies also. Battle caused heavy loss of life with little land gained. This battle caused a very heavy loss of life for the little land gained. For what? They caused a heavy loss. They caused heavy loss only for their land expand, their territory expand, their respect and for some part of land gain. They caused a very heavy loss to all. Role of United States. What was the role of United States of America? USA. USA joined in 1917. There were some reasons behind it. German submarine attacks on ship, because the German submarines were attacking on the ships of United States. So they want to be the part of World War I to fight with them and control their territory. Now, Zimmermann telegram. Germany asked Mexico to attack USA. This was the telegram about when the Germany said that Mexico to attack USA. What they demanded? Mexico to attack USA. This was the second reason for them to be in the part of First World War. US troops helped turn the war in favor of allies. These weren't like that. They wanted helps, and USA troops helped to turn the war in favor of the allies. Now, role of India in World War I. So, there were many roles of India in the World War I. India was under British rule. So, that time they want to fight and make the Britishers finished. Over 1.3 million Indian soldiers served for the Britishers. Indian troops fought in France, Mesopotamia, and Africa. Indian supply foods, money and raw material were becoming less and less, and they want to be ended from the slavery of the Britishers. So they want their state independent. So they took part, means they wanted to control the territory of the Britishers. Russian Revolution and War. Russia suffered heavy losses. Economic crisis and hunger led to the Russian Revolution. In which year? 1917. New economist government withdrew from the war. Means the new communist government withdrew from the war. What was the Treaty of Versailles in 1990? Main term imposed on Germany were: first, accepted war guilt. They accepted the war guilt. Second, lost colonies and territories. Third, army reduced. Fourth, heavy war reparations. League of Nations. What was the League of Nations? Created to maintain world peace. Failed because USA did not join up to that. No strong military power was there. Later replaced by the United Nations. Okay. Social and economic impact. Women worked in factories and hospitals. Economics of Europe weakened. Many countries faced poverty and unemployment. The many people died due to hunger and very heavy loss. And many people died when they were serving for their countries also. Why World War I was important? Changed world politics, redrew maps of Europe, increased demand for independence and colonies. Direct cause of World War II. Never a world war will be happened due to the one reason. There are several reasons of chain for the world war, and these chains causes the world war. If you think if one thing should not happen, so there would not be a world war, but it was not true. If we have a mountain of bombs and we put a matchstick on them and fired it, so what will be done? There would be blast. There would be a blast, and this blast was not due to only matchstick. It was also due to some reasons why I used matchstick and why I fired it. Second, the matchstick caused the blast. Third, there was the mountain of bombs. So, third reason was also there. So, there are several reasons for the things. Some important date was also there. Assassination of Archduke on 28th June 1914. War begins on 28th June 1914. USA joins in 1917. Armistice 11 November 1980. Treaty of Versailles in 1919. These were the important dates of these events. There are also some unbelievable facts about World War I. A war started by a wrong turn. The assassination guerrilla principle failed his first attempt. Later, the Archduke driver took a wrong turn and stopped right in the front of Princip. The shot Archduke Franz Ferdinand, starting the World War I. Means the Princip then shooted him, did the Archduke, and there begins a World War I. This was also a main reason for that. Christmas stress of 1914. Soldiers from enemy side stopped fighting on Christmas. That was very amazing and unbelievable as the songs were sung on that day. They shared food and they played football. Next day they were forced to fight again. It was a very bad and emotional thing for them. Enemies became friends for one night and then again became the enemies. Soldiers lived with the dead bodies. Trench condition was so bad that dead soldiers were used as walls, and bodies sometimes froze and stayed for a week. Rats ate food and human remains. It makes the trench very smelly, very poisonous, and it can cause many of the infections to all. Poisonous gas was a new horror report. Chlorine gas burned lungs from inside, and soldiers drawn in their own blood. Gas masks were invented after 1,000 dies. Means they made a gas masks. Breathing became a weapon. Now, if they breathe, so the poisonous gas may enter their nose and can destroy the lungs and burn the lungs, and the person can die. Point number 5. A 16-year-old soldier. Many soldiers died after their age. Some soldiers were only 14 and 16 years old. They fought and died like adults. It was very unbelievable point. Like they died like adults and they were 14 to 16 of age. More soldiers died from disease than bullets. Trench disease, trench foot, dysentery, typhus, Spanish flu caused in 1918 killed more people than the war itself. It killed many of people and became the heavy loss. Thousands of people died due to Spanish flu. Illness was deadlier than guns. First time tanks were used. Tanks terrified soldiers. Some soldiers ran away screaming, thinking tanks were monsters. Early tanks often broke down mid-battle. Animals were soldiers too. Horse pulled gun, dogs carried message. The animals were also included in this war and they worked as a soldier too. They helped the country as the representation. Pigeons saved thousands of lives by delivering message under fire. They delivered the message to the peoples and the soldiers about the fire. The dogs carried the message, horse pulled the guns. They were also working as a soldier. One pigeon received a military medal also. One pigeon received a military medal also. Point number 9. The war changed time. Countries introduced daylight saving time to save fuel. The system is still used today because of World War I. Map of the world were destroyed after World War I. Four empires collapsed. German, Ottoman, Austro-Hungarian and Russian. New countries were created overnight. It was very interesting and enthusiastic point of this. Point number 11. Germany was not invaded, still lost. Germany surrendered without enemy troops in Berlin. Many Germans believed they were betrayed. This anger later helped Hitler rise to power. Hitler increased his smaller than the earlier Germany. It was also an interesting point about it. So now, let we know some points that will be very important for this videos. Now, the war was expected to end in 6 weeks, but soldiers went with summer uniforms. No one expected a 4-year war. This was very imagining and a very mysterious point here. The war was fixed that it will be ended in 6 weeks, but how it became 4 years. It is very interesting and a mysterious point. Whistles sent soldier to death. Officers blew whistles to order attack. Enemy soldiers waited with machine gun. Thousands died within minutes. But not this also. Germany also played a crucial role. Germany also did a very mysterious thing, that if any soldier died, if any American soldier died, so they put a bomb or a gadget which will blast it up. When American comes to take their soldiers back, then what happens? Nothing, but it happens that there is a blast and 4 to 5 Americans were killed and died. So Germany played a very mysterious things like that also. Germany also made the guns very curved so that we can destroy our enemies without making him see anything. But it doesn't play the crucial role because the guns were crashed into some parts due to curved area, and then this plan was also failed of Germany. Faces were completely destroyed. Soldiers slept standing up. Trenches were flooded with mud. Soldiers sometimes slept standing to avoid drowning. Faces were completely destroyed. New injuries called facial disfigurements was coming. Soldiers lost jaws, noses and eyes. Plastic surgery began because of World War I. Shell shock was not believed. Soldiers suffering mental trauma were called cowards, and some were executed for refusing to fight. Some battle lasted a month for just a few kilometers. Battle of Verdun in 1960 lasts 6 months. About 6 to 10 months, and over 77 lakh casualties for almost no land gain were there. Soldiers used urine as a medicine. Urine was powdered on the wounds to clean them. It reduces infection when no medicine was available. But they split the urine on any cloth and tar it on their face to protect from gases and various materials that will burn their lungs. But it was not said that urine will work. Some soldiers also used water for them. This also worked and protected them from the bad rays and the radiations and the gases. Helmets were not used at first. Soldiers fought wearing cloth caps. Still, steel helmets were introduced after massive head injuries. Whole villages disappeared. Some villages in France were completely destroyed. They were never rebuilt and still marked as dead village. Dead bodies exploded underground. Explosive buried under enemy trenches. When detonated bodies were thrown hundreds of meters, soldiers fired millions of bullets daily. Some days saw millions of bullets fired with no result. Ammunition factories worked non-stop. Newspapers lied to the public. Government hid real dead numbers. People believed soldiers were safe and winning. Soldiers were buried alive. Shelling collapsed trenches. Many soldiers died without injuries, just buried. Teeth were pulled with painkillers. Doctors removed teeth using pliers. No anesthesia available near battlefield. Some soldiers refused order together. Entire units stopped attacking for heavy losses. This was called mutiny. Poisonous gas killed blindly. Wind changed direction suddenly. Gas sometimes killed the soldiers who released it. Soldiers aged fast. Teen soldiers looked like old men after months. Stress destroyed their health permanently. There are more points like war renewed farming land for decades, exploded shells poisonous soil, and some land is still unusual today. Bodies are still found today. Farmers still discover bones in shells, known as the iron harvest in Europe. World War I created modern warfare. Intelligence agencies, propagandas, chemical warfare, and military technology. And it causes many changes to many countries and many things in many countries. Friends, if you liked my video, so please like, share and subscribe. So this was the almost history of World War I. Thank you and we'll be meeting in next video.